What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Egnater Renegade 65. Let's do it! Alright, hope you guys are doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle and I wouldn't blame you for clicking off the video already. But what I do here is I take awesome high gain amps, guitars, cabs, speakers, pickups, overdrives, I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes that probably need to clean off their glasses, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button on your way out and subscribing so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today we are checking out yet another Egnater amplifier. This is the Renegade. It is a 65 watt all tube amplifier, and much like most of the other amps in the Egnater range, it is kind of packed with tone shaping options. Now normally in these videos I kind of take you through the history or some of the information about the amplifiers, as usually I'm a little bit of a nerd and I kind of like to dig into the backstory a little bit, but with this amp, I don't know any of that stuff. To be 100% honest with you guys, I wasn't really all that interested in it or any of the other Egnater amps for the most part to begin with, but I've found that they are kind of pleasantly surprising when it comes to the high gain stuff, and when it comes to the mid and low gain stuff, they do really well in that regard. But I'm a belligerent amateur, and that's not really what I do here. I just like to turn the gain up and chug away because I'm all about the gear and not about the talent. So with that out of the way, this amp, again, 65 watts, we've got two different channels. The two channels appear to be the same. You can set either channel to be whatever tone that it is that you would like and switch back and forth between the two. Now we will dive into both channels, see if there is any sort of tonal difference between channel 1 and channel 2. But as far as I am aware, they are the same, and it's basically supposed to give you the option to mirror each channel and switch between the two depending on how you have each one dialed in for whatever situation it is that it calls for. The back of the amp is very simple. You have your standard effects loop, and you also have a DI recording out from this amplifier. So considering what these go for on the used market, 400, 450 bucks, you get a pretty good value for considering that this is an all tube amplifier. So with all that being said, none of that matters if the thing doesn't sound good. So let's go ahead and dive into this thing and see what type of tones that we can get out of it. For that intro clip, I was using my Balaguer Typhon with the Seymour Duncan SH6 distortion in the bridge. We had the Friedman Buxom boost on in front of the amp to really push it into that tight, chuggy, high gain territory. We're going through a Mesa traditional 4x12 slant cab, SM57 on the stock vintage 30. We're gonna go over to channel 1, or the green channel, whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna pull this gain back to 9 o'clock. I am going to put all of the EQ controls at noon. I'm going to put all of these switches in the up position. I'm gonna dial this little tube mix here to noon, and we're gonna get this volume to try and match where we were on the other channel, and let's see how this thing sounds. All right, so I may be wrong right off the bat. The first channel may be just a clean channel. So yeah, doing good. I'm gonna go ahead and push that gain up to noon and see if we get any sort of breakup out of this thing at all. Nope, it just gets louder. So yeah, I was wrong. Channel 1 is definitely a clean channel. So oops, we're gonna pull that volume back. Yeah, so channel 1 just seems to be a clean channel. Let's go ahead and push that gain to the max. All right, now we have some breakup, but we're way too loud. right, real quick, let's see what type of crunch tone we can get out of this channel. I'm gonna push it over to the EL34 side. I did forget to mention that over here we have a density, which is basically a depth and a presence control. So I have those both dialed up. We're gonna leave them as is for now. So right now, I think we need a little bit more treble bite, a little bit more mid. So that's about what you're gonna get from that green channel as far as overdrive. You're basically into that AC/DC kind of cranked plexi type of territory, and that's all the time I wanna spend on that channel because you guys are here for the belligerent amateur thrash and hardcore riffs, so let's go ahead and go back over to channel 2 here. I am actually going to bring this back down. We're gonna start this from noon as if we were dialing in a brand new tone. I'm gonna put that tube mix back to noon, and I actually am going to, again, leave the density and presence where they are because they seem to need to be turned up in order to have a positive effect on the tone, in my personal opinion. All right, so with the gain at 9 o'clock, not a lot going on there. Let's go up to 11. Definitely a little darker and a little bit more compressed on this channel to start. All right, so that's kind of more in the hard rock territory. We're getting a little bit more saturation going. Let's go ahead and push it up to 1 o'clock. Getting closer, let's get it up to 3 o'clock, and now we've got some noise coming through the speakers. All right, so as you guys can hear, definitely more saturation, but with that saturation, much like an amp like a JCM 800, turning that preamp gain up also fattens the amp up, it darkens it up. Compression is happening, so the top end is being cut off quite a bit. So let's go ahead, let's add some more treble into that tone. All right, so it's pretty fat to start with the gain that high. We've got a decent amount of saturation, but let's see what happens when we max it out. It gets really fat and has definitely more of a crunchy breakup than a smooth, saturated breakup like something like, say, a 5150. So I'm gonna dial that back a little bit. We're gonna take a look at this tube mix. Let's see how this affects the tone, because right now we have it at noon. We're gonna dial it all the way to the 6L6 side, and then we're gonna go through the range. I don't know why I did that. All right, so pretty noticeable differences going through the range of that. I noticed when you're in the middle, it seems to be the brightest, and obviously it kind of takes characteristics from both. But yeah, you get the picture of what it's trying to do. In the middle, I found it to be the most harsh, like the top end frequencies were not all that pleasant. But at the same time, it's the most open. When we dial it back to the 6L6 side, it seems to be a little darker, a little bit more low mid focus when we dial it over to the EL34 side. It has a little bit more high mid emphasis, a little bit more congested overall. So I want to dial it back to the 6L6 side. and see if we can't get some more mids on this thing and a little bit more treble to kind of bring it to life a little bit. All right, so that's not too bad. I think I want a little bit more presence on it. Woo, not that much. Let's go back a little bit. That seems to be a balanced spot, right? So over here, we still have these 3 switches that we have not messed with. We've got a tight and a deep switch, which I'm assuming affects the frequency of the low end, and a bright and normal switch, which probably affects the high end. So let's switch it from bright to normal. So for our purposes, you know, the normal rounds off a good bit of those highs and kind of smooths the amp out. If you're playing a really bright guitar, or if you're playing a single coil or something like that, that's probably gonna come in handy, especially if you've got kind of a quacky bridge pickup going on. But for our purposes, high gain, we've got the compression going. We need that high end help to retain our clarity and to retain our bite. So now we're gonna go over to the tight and the deep switch. Here it is with the tight, with the switch in the tight position. And down into the deep position. Okay, so it's almost like going from a Marshall low end to a dual rectifier low end. It significantly adds more lows and low mids. The low mids just seem to have a little bit more of a grunt to them. Again, for my personal taste, I like the tight a good bit better. It's a little bit more percussive. The deep is really cool. If I was going for something a little bit more on maybe say the punk rock side, I would flip that deep on with a good overdrive out in front. It would retain enough body to make things sound full, has some low mid grunt and some, you know, basically some of that guttural aggression that you're gonna get from a dual rectifier type amplifier out of it. So with that being said, one of the best ways to clear up muddy frequencies is to kick in an overdrive. So why don't we do that? We're gonna click in this MXR M77, and I have touched nothing else on the amp, so how's it react to an overdrive out front? Just like that, the amp is much tighter. I am getting some frequencies that I don't like in the top end, so we're gonna actually dial that presence back a tad, we're gonna dial that treble back a tad, and we're gonna bring the gain back a little bit because we had a lot of saturation going there. Overall, not bad, but the amp doesn't have a lot of punch to it, and it still has kind of that low mid bubble, so I'm turning the bump switch off on the M77 to clear up those low mids even more. There we go, we've got some decent clarity. Let's get a little bit more of this density involved here. Maybe that'll fatten it up a little bit. All right, and let's get a little bit more bass because we have that bass all the way at noon still. So let's switch off that M77. Let's try the Boss SD1 and see if that helps things at all. All right, so I'm not liking that as much. And finally, let's try the Bucks and Boost, and then we'll move over to a guitar with active pickups, see how the amp reacts to active pickups. That seems to be the muddiest of the three. I prefer the M77 because it's given the amp the most clarity, especially in those low mid frequencies. It's not getting along with every overdrive. Let's see how it gets along with something with active pickups. All right, guys, I now have my LTD EC400 here with Fishman Fluence classic pickups in the bridge. Let's see how it reacts. All right, so let's try the tube mix over on the EL34 side. That has a good amount of upper mid aggression. Let's get a little bit more bass going too. I am not liking these particular pickups as much with this amp because there's just too much high end. It's clashing with a frequency that's built into the amp's EQ itself, and it's not sounding super good like this, but let's check it out. It might work better in drop C. We'll do a riff in drop C and we'll call it a day on the Egnater Renegade. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today on the Egnater Renegade 65. What did you think about this amplifier? Do you think I was able to get some good tones out of it? Do you think that my assessment was fair, was accurate, or are you guys hearing something totally different on your end? And if you own the amp or have had experiences with it, I'm really curious to see, what your experiences have been with it. Did they differ completely than mine, or were they pretty much in line with what I experienced here today? Let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to meet you guys down there to talk about it. And if you liked the video, do me a favor, hit the like button because it really does help, and subscribe so you don't miss my future stuff. If you want to support what it is that I do here, down in the description of this video are all my affiliate links, including my Sweetwater affiliate link. Ooh, I burped in the middle of that one. That's not a good look. Including my Sweetwater affiliate link. If you click that link, get yourself something nice from the fine folks at Sweetwater. I get a little kickback and it costs you nothing extra. Everybody wins and I would really appreciate it. Or you can add your name to this list of incredible people by joining my Patreon community and supporting the channel that way. I'll love you forever, whether you want me to or not. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.